Is this happening to you? Then you're in the right place for video game training. In this video, I'll show you how to defeat Margit the Fell Omen. If you want to be an absolute legend and support the channel, then make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. My name is Azzavhar or Azza. Now let's get into the video. Just before we jump into the fight, I'll show you the weapons and equipment that we're using. We've got 2 keen scimitars +2. You can also use a shield in this fight if you are interested in that. I would recommend having a decent amount of stamina, perhaps the turtle talisman for increased stamina regen, and ideally I would have 100% physical damage negation on that shield. We've got the standard warrior armor on that we start the game with. We're also rocking a green turtle talisman for stamina recovery speed, and then we'll just be using the flask of crimson tears, which is +1, and we've also got a flask of wondrous physic, which restores some HP as well. Just before the boss fight Fog Doors, you can summon an NPC to help you if you want to. This guy here called Sorcerer Rogia. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but that's what we went for. So feel free to summon Sorcerer Rogia if you do want to. You can also use an item called Margit's Shackle, which you can use 2 times in this battle, which will bring Margit down to the ground and allow you to get in some free hits. You can buy Margit's Shackle from an NPC in Murkwater Cave, which is located a little bit north of this lake. You have to fight this NPC and forgive him halfway through the battle in order to unlock his shop. It's also worth mentioning that after you do win that battle, you will need to travel away from that location and then travel back into Murkwater Cave to be able to access the shop. Margit's Shackle will cost you 5,000 runes. There are 3 main attacks that we're looking to see from Margit that allow us to punish. One is where he holds his staff up above his head for a good few seconds and then slams it down towards the floor. There's 2 variants of this attack depending on the distance between you and Margit. The second attack that we're looking for is the one where he jumps up in the air and then kind of thrusts his staff into the floor. And the third attack that we're looking for is the one where he jumps up into the air with the hammer and then smashes the hammer into the floor. Generally, for the rest of the attacks, I would advise just avoiding them completely and keeping yourself a safe distance away from Margit, which is generally about a medium distance to a long distance away from him. Now let's go into detail and break those moves down. So usually he'll start with the 2 daggers. You can just kind of like walk to the side or roll to the sides to avoid those. Dagger, dagger. So just sidestep for those daggers. And generally we want to be about a mid-range distance away from him. So not too far, but also not too close. Just out of reach of his staff essentially is a good place to be. What tends to happen with Margit is the attacks that are with his staff generally tend to be more sort of like wind up attacks and roll catch attacks, and then the other hand his daggers tend to be a lot faster and not as much wind up on those, although some of his staff attacks are still quite fast, like that underswing that he just did there is really fast. 1 2 3, roll on 3 for the staff. Plunge attack, you can get in like 3 strikes or so and then back up. After that staff plunge, 1 2 3, and then 1 2 3, back up. That's it. He's going to go into hammer phase. So when he jumps, 1 2 3, couple of attacks and then get out of there after the hammer. 1 2 3. That's the best one to punish him, that specific move right there, especially in phase 1. He will only do that staff into the ground move in phase 1, and he usually does that after he's thrown the daggers. Dagger, dagger, 2 3. That's the one that's the easiest to punish him from, is the staff plunge into the ground in this first phase. So ideally, if you want to bait him around this kind of distance, 1 2 3, and then follow up. Dagger, dagger, jump, 1 2 3, and then punish, 1 2 3, back up. So the dagger jump is a really good one to punish him after he gets his staff kind of stuck in the ground. Dagger, dagger, jump, 1 2 3, and then punish, 1 2 3, back up. Another attack to punish is the one where he kind of like charges up his staff over his head for quite some time. It's a 4-second delay on his overhead staff. It's the one where he kind of holds it above his head for quite some time. That one, 1, 2, 3, 4. But if you have some distance between you and Margit, like we just did, it means you'll do like an extra hop forwards and then a swing around afterwards. He's got 2 different variants of that overhead charge staff. One variant is if you're really close to him, and the second variant is if you're further away. He does a slightly different version of it. 1, 2, 3, 4. Usually does double on that one when he steps forward. So getting in some attacks here is a really good chance just after that staff goes into the floor. That wind up is about 4 seconds. You can get a few strikes in there before he actually slams the staff down. 1, 2, 3, 4. Three, 4. So you can punish quite a lot after that one. That one was the version of the staff above his head, and we were close. There we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Roll, and then punish massively afterwards. You can punish before that staff slam as well, and afterwards. That's the charge overhead that where we are far away. So on that one, he does like a step forward first, then slams it down, then always goes into a spin around afterwards. That's ideally the one that we don't want. We want the one where we're closer to him. 1, 2, 3, 4. Roll on the 4. Punish. Back up. If you're behind him, watch out for the tail swing. He'll tend to do like the turnaround tail if you are directly behind him, so just keep that in mind. And the tail turnaround is quite fast, so you just want to roll backwards out of the way. So there's a couple of prime times to punish. After the hammer, 1, 2, 3, roll on the 3. You can only really get in safely 1 attack after the hammer, and then roll straight away to get out of there, give some distance. So a couple of different things that you can do here. Usually after the daggers he does the hammer overhead, which is good for us because we can get in our strikes. 1, 2, 3, 4. Usually 4 seconds on that overhead staff. Wind up, dagger, dagger, usually into hammer, roll forward, 1, 2, back up. So on this bit, ideally he will throw the daggers. If he throws the daggers, he usually follows that up with a hammer strike. So dagger, dagger, hammer. After the hammer is your chance to get in your attack. So dagger, dagger, hammer, roll, and then 1, 2, get out of there after that. Dagger. Sometimes he goes into the staff after the dagger. It's not as common. He's going to step forward and then spin again. So that is that. The safest thing you can possibly do really is just bait out that dagger, dagger, hammer, and then just punish after the hammer hits the floor. There are other times you can get in attacks, but if you want to be ultra safe, then the dagger, dagger, hammer overhead is probably the safest attack to punish in this second phase. It's usually not worth being really close to him, because he'll do a massive amount of combos. It's a lot easier to kind of like stay back, but not too far back, because if you're too far away, it won't bait the hammer. For example, if he does dagger, dagger, we are this distance, which is a good distance to get the hammer. There we go. So if you want to play it ultra safe, just keep baiting those dagger, dagger hammers, and you should be good to go. Depends how greedy you want to be. With how much damage you want to put in. If you want to be ultra safe, then just put in 1 attack. A lot of the other moves I would not recommend punishing after. Just those ones that were mentioned before. Okay, so medium distance. I'll try and show you if we are far away. Dagger, dagger is not going to follow up because he knows that he's not going to make it over to our character. So the AI is not going to let him jump. And ideally we want to let him jump. So 1, 2, 3, and then punish. 1, 2, 3. If you're close like that, it just goes into a crazy wombo combo of, you know, daggers and staffs and swords and hammers and stuff. So it's a lot safer just to kind of keep your distance like that, and then bait 1, 2. If you're feeling spicy, you can stay around and try and punish further, but it's usually a good idea not to. You can also use the opportunity to heal up, so as soon as you get that hammer slammed into the ground, you know it's going to be stuck there in that animation for a good few seconds, so you can just kind of back up and run away, pop a flask if you want to. So if your health is looking a bit low, that's also a good opportunity to kind of like back up, pop your flasks and stuff, and get yourself ready for the next bit of the battle. Just want to show you a couple of extra bits. You can go to item crafting and craft yourself some foods. For example, we can make pickled turtle neck, which increases our stamina recovery speed. So if you've got anything that helps put up your attack power or increase your stamina recovery, then feel free to craft that and pop that. You can also use a furl calling finger remedy, so if you want to invite other players into your world to help you fight the boss, then use that one. You can also use spirit ashes, and a good one to use in this fight is lone wolf ashes. If you don't have the spirit bell and the lone wolf ashes just yet, then make sure to head on over to Church of Ella, the one that's near the start of the game, and there should be an NPC there called Rani that will give you the ashes and the bell. So on this one, I'm just going to show you the fight with the pickled turtle neck, as well as the spirit wolves. So we're going to pop that food, jump on in, we'll summon wolves. He'll usually start with throwing the daggers. Just head to your left or right. Ideally try and lure those daggers away from the wolves so they don't take too much damage at the start of the fight. Everything else is exactly the same, just makes things a little bit easier with these wolves. Another reason that they're really good is because they kind of spread out. So what that means is a lot of his attacks will just hit one of the wolves. Kind of keeps them going for a little bit longer. So I'd recommend trying to get stuck in really as much as you can do while the wolves are still alive, and try and get his HP down as much as possible. Here comes the hammer. 1, 2, 3. Roll through it. Punish. You can also knock him down. If you're pumping out a lot of damage like that, you'll find that it does knock him down. Basically, you have to do a lot of damage in quite a short space of time to get the knockdown. There goes the wolves. As you can see, it kind of does help out quite a lot, and his HP will be quite low by the time that the wolves have done their job. And it just leaves you to finish off the rest yourself. And once again, just use the same tactics that we went over before. The hammer slam, punish right now after the hammer, or you can use it to heal. If your health is looking really spicy, you can just run very far away and heal. Just watch out for the daggers if you do that, because he'll try and close the gap. And he'll try and knock you out of your healing animation with his daggers. Punish. 1, 2. Like I say, usually 1 punish is the safest bet, but you can go for 2 if you're feeling spicy. You can also try a charge attack like that, so the charge attack can also come in useful. Hopefully you enjoyed this video and it helped you out in some way. If it did, remember to like, subscribe and drop a comment. You can check out all the other content that I make at Azzavhar.com. The link is down in the pinned comments. That's Azzavhar.com. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.